All right, Megan, go ahead.
All right, thank you so much, Erin. It's really a pleasure to be here. Honestly, um, I I've been looking for something like this, not just for myself as an industry professional to seek help, but also to help other people. And I also just want to say that anything I say tonight, I just want to be clear that it's my opinion and my experience. So I hope that you do get something from what I say, but it's not, the only way to go about things. So again, my name is Megan. I live in New York City. My husband is a chef. He just opened a restaurant about 8 months ago, which is bananas, but he did it. I have two little boys. They are 5 and 2, so I am really deep into things right now. And on top of that, I am working, so I'm a working mom with all the things wrong with me. So yeah, I've been in the industry for about like 16 years. I started off as a pastry cook, and then at some point I just felt like it was kind of time to move on. I think I honestly felt like I was either gonna move on to sous chef or do something else, but I didn't have confidence in myself to take on that sous chef. And while I have gained more confidence in myself, I still hold that I was probably a better cook than I was like a leader or someone who was really creative to create menus and stuff like that. Um, so I was waiting tables. I worked at a cocktail restaurant, or I'm sorry, a cocktail bar. Um, then I was hosting at a fine dining restaurant here in New York City, and then I moved on to manager. And so yeah, I've worked most positions, and I think a lot of um, venues, I guess, in the restaurant industry. Um, but it's kind of all the same, I guess, when you think about it, whether it's a small restaurant or like a corporate thing. There's little things here and there that are different, but like it's all the same. And the blessing and the curse of our industry is because I've always felt like it's just like a big group of misfits. Like none of us really work well in like actual real people jobs, right? And we're drawn to industry for one reason or another, but we stay because of the chaos. Because honestly, most of us probably have ADHD, and that's how we're able to function. And there's so many balls in the air. Like a normal person couldn't do that, right? Like, I mean, you're cooking and you're doing your prep list, and you're doing literally 4 different things at once, or you're managing, and there's 4 different fires to put out, or you're serving and there's 17 tables and like 8 different people asking for like ketchup or soda or whatever, you know what I'm saying? um and I think that is a big thing that I love about this industry, is that it is for all of us that like feel like we wouldn't have fit anywhere else. But that's kind of also the curse, because it's a bunch of people working together with mental health problems who are not really addressing the issues. And um I didn't mention this, but I got sober about 3 years ago, a little over 3 years ago, and that was very, very life changing for me. Um, but I don't necessarily want to focus all on that, because there was a lot of other things that I kind of had to rein in at the same time, and addressing all the other mental health issues in my life. was also really big. So, but in my sobriety, I honestly haven't met that many people. I mean, I have met people from the restaurant industry, but every time I speak, I have to explain that like every like industry in the entire world has, alcoholics or drug addicts or something like that, but it's just kind of hidden and like swept under the rug. But in our industry, it's just like in front of you. Like it's a badge of honor. Like if you can't get through your shift without being like drunk, are you even good at your job? Like, are you good at your job if you can't get through it while you're still drunk from the night before? And the like aggression and the screaming and the yelling and the anger and the like all the time. I mean, that's what we crave, right? But and again, that's the blessing because we need that dopamine, right? Or at least I do. But it's also the curse because after so many years, you're like, I can't do this anymore. Like it's just dinner. It's just dinner. We're not like saving lives here. Um, so I wanted to say all that because as much as I love food service. Like I have zero plans, especially over, lockdown when it was like, could I do something else? Do I want to do something else? I'm not really qualified to do anything else. I don't really want to do anything else. And this is really all I know. So it's just like, okay, here I am and I love it. And I don't want to do anything else. So I'm currently working as a kitchen administrator, which means I like sit at a computer all day, but I found my little niche where I can, get my toe in the kitchen and, I help out the chefs with the recipes and kind of organize the back end of all the catering events, but I don't actually have to like be in the thick of it. And it's great for me. And now that I have two little kids, like I gotta work at like 4, you know what I'm saying? So the flexibility works really well. And I'm really grateful that I found this kind of position. Um, because I mean that was finding this position was huge because at the point when I kind of hit my rock bottom, um, I was in a place where I didn't think that I could be helped or that I needed help or that it was just something that I like had to endure, like this is just okay, we just need to learn how to live like this. Um and I didn't know like what else could I possibly do? I have all of this experience, but like what do I do with it? And this job like came in front that was like, oh, recipe writing. And I was like, well, that sounds dumb. I ended up taking it and it ended up being like really incredible because I do have experience. Maybe I've never like written a cookbook per se, but I've looked at recipes. I've taken recipes and be like, well, that sucks, and rewritten it. And I, helped my husband um, with recipe testing when he was opening his restaurant. And I've been around the block. I know some things, and it's actually been like really beneficial for helping out in my current job. And I'm so grateful that I found this little unicorn job for me where I can like, still be in the industry and feel a part of it without killing myself, frankly. Um, but it's still not always easy. I mean, I'm looking at my notes over here. If anyone wants to know why I'm looking away. Um, there's still big hurdles every day. Sustaining a positive attitude is really big for me. And I remember at one point, I'm like, people with positive attitudes just like freak me out. I'm like, why are you so happy all the time? Like, you got to be angry. I was just like so angry all the time. Like, what's wrong with you? But slowly but surely, I kind of like came around to this like fake it till you make it. Like, you need to be positive to like get positivity back. And there's a lot of negativity in our industry also. I mean, again, that can go anywhere, but everyone's complaining about this person or the manager or a table or something like that, and it like infects you, right? It's a toxic environment. Like even in the best of restaurants still have some sort of toxicity. And again, that's the chaos that we all like. But, you know, at one point I kind of had to have a talk with myself of like, what do I actually want out of my job, you know? And I had to admit that like I don't really want like a big career. Like I just want like a nice job that I feel good about, that I'm like lightly challenged, but not overly stressed. I can go in, I can do my work, I can crush it, and then I can go home. And that's, I don't need to be a CEO. I don't need any of that stuff. I just need to be paid like just enough, you know? Um, that was a big hurdle for me. I mean, at one point like when I finally hit my rock bottom, it was because I was at a managing job that I had no business being in, like whatsoever. I was hosting, and I thought that I was, I'm too good for this. I'm too smart. I hated being like having to tell people that I met, like, oh, I'm a host, because they don't understand what hosting is, even though it's like literally the hardest job in the restaurant. Anyone that's hosted is like, yeah, I know. But anyone outside the industry doesn't understand that. So when I say a host, I sound like I'm an 18-year-old at like, TGI Fridays. And that really got to me. And I was like, no, I can do better. I can be a manager. But I wasn't prepared for leadership. I didn't get the support I needed at my job. I didn't know what questions to ask. I didn't even know what I needed help with. And it was just like spiraling, I mean, I didn't, I had raging anxiety about that I was doing a bad job, that everyone thought that I was a huge joke, that every single task was put in front of me was just like this monumental thing. And, um, I was relying too heavy on drinking and drugs to get me through that stress and that anxiety, instead of trying to figure out like why I was so angry in the first place. And I don't even think I knew that I was angry. That was just like part of my life. Again, another thing where I've just like, I'm just gonna have to live with being an angry person. I just am. So I mean, what I'm getting at is the positivity. I mean, everyone's gonna be toxic, but when I had this conversation with myself, it was like, okay, I don't have to be this. Like it's okay that I just want just to have a job. Like it's totally fine. I don't need to keep going up and up. Like I just want to go in. And honestly, it's actually nice being really underestimated. I go into this job and they are paying me like it's someone right out of college, and I'm blowing them away because I'm not right out of college. And so they think I'm doing an incredible job, and I'm really not doing anything in my head. So I feel great about myself. Um, but that toxicity still can get at you, and just kind of just sitting there and being like, okay, that person has valid feelings. They're not wrong. Everything they're complaining about is actually 100% true. But that doesn't mean that it's bad for me. Like, yeah, you're right, that person was really rude to you, and I'm not saying that that's acceptable, but it my current job ticks off all these other boxes that basically it's like, what's the level of bullshit that you're ready to put up with? And that's kind of what we all do, but I guess my priorities changed of like, what do I actually need from this job? What do I want from this job? And like, what am I willing to put up with as far as my boundaries to like be here? And then that's the other funny thing that I realized when I moved into like the corporate or like, like office job, is that like our bar for job satisfaction is so low, y'all. Like so low. I mean, we've been abused for so long and gotten like crappy pay. We've been abused by like customers and other people we work with and managers that like, going to an office and people are like talking to you, and I'm like, am I allowed to talk right now, or is this is okay? I can just like go get a snack. Is that that's all right? I'm not going to get fired. I mean, that's crazy talk that that is the huge difference. I mean, like, I still don't know how much to like ask for at a job interview, or like how much I'm, to ask for a raise, because I'm just used to getting paid so little money that I'm just like, I don't know. Is that okay with you? If I is that too much, or you know? So, the level of bullshit it kind of raises and ebbs and flows, but trying to stay positive and trying to remember like what I need out of this job and what I want out of this job has been like really, really helpful for me. Um, and kind of getting out of the late nights were really big for my sobriety and my depression and my anxiety also. Um, because every night, everyone was already asleep. It's like, what do you do at like 1 in the morning when you get out of work? Like you go get a drink, you know? And for most people, they go home and have like half a glass of white wine and go to sleep, but I don't know how to have just one glass of wine. Um, and this was, it wasn't just like once a week. It happened almost every day. And I kept thinking that I was gonna, grow out of it. Like at some point I'm just gonna get like tired of drinking and getting drunk so much. But, all of a sudden then I'm finding myself, in my 30s with people in their 20s, and I have a kid at home and I'm still drinking, Um, but after much insistence from my husband basically threatening to leave me, um, I finally, reached out for help. And at this point now, I'm in lots of therapy and I take medication, and, I stopped drinking. Um, and, medication isn't for everybody. Um, it's not necessarily like the be all end all of like what's going to fix your problems. But for me personally, uh, me starting to take medication was a huge game changer, and I don't know how I lived my life without it. And I mean, I can feel it when I don't take my medication. Like it lowers my anger to like a simmer, instead of like constantly boiling over about like a toothbrush falling on the ground. You know what I'm saying? Um, and I've just done a lot of work on, why I was so angry, and what makes me so anxious. And now I have this ability to kind of like, instead of um lashing out, it's kind of sitting with myself and being like, why am I actually mad? Why am I angry? Am I upset because someone hurt my feelings? Am I mad because I'm hungry? I mean, sometimes it's really just like you're hungry, legitimately, like tired. And I'm tired all the time. But being able to sit there and figure out, why am I sad right now? Why am I so upset? And sometimes there's not a reason, but um, for so long I didn't think I deserved to be depressed, because I come from a good family, because I'm just going to say it, I have white privilege. Like my father's a doctor, I was raised in a good family, like I have no reason to be sad, right? But that would create more depression, because I was still anxious and I was still sad, but I didn't think I deserved to be. So I just drank and drank and drank and did all the drugs that I could to forget, or to just minimize the fact that I was still anxious, and still angry and still depressed. And once I realized that, it's, I have every right to be depressed. It's not a fleeting feeling. It's a chemical imbalance in my brain that makes me, different from other people. and not in a bad way. I'm not special. There's millions of us that have this problem, but comparing myself to other people and being like, well, they can do it. I don't understand why I can't do it. It's because you have depression, Megan, because you have anxiety, because you need to put yourself, you need to give yourself boundaries. And that was just like so eye opening, you know, like taking out these stressors in my life. And, I still have times of anxiety. I'm not, you asked how I was doing today. I feel really great. My job's been going well. My husband and I have been in marriage counseling for the past, uh, over a year. And, we've gotten over like a big hurdle that, between me getting sober and, honestly just having kids and having to re-navigate our marriage, um, kind of threw in there, and we're finally getting back to a good place. And we're talking about buying a house, and like things are good. Our kids are healthy. We like made it through most of the pandemic. Like I'm good, but that doesn't mean that I didn't spend the last like 2 years, like, or even like last weekend having like a panic attack over like being a bad mom or getting fired because I sent like a weird email to everyone. Um, but I mean, the main things that I have, that I try to remember on a daily basis to kind of stay positive and stay resilient is, first of all, the idea of not worrying about things that haven't happened yet. And that that, like sounds really simple, but the amount of anxiety that I was spending on, I don't know, something that's happening in a month, or just like the idea of something was like literally killing me. And letting go of that again has been game changer, guys. Game changer of just like it hasn't happened yet. What in God's name am I worrying about? Nothing has happened. Nothing has happened. I mean, just letting go of all of that created so much brain space for me to think about other things, you know? Um, and learning more about compassion. You again, back to the toxicity of the restaurant industry. It's constantly just like, what's her deal? Like she's blah, 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 blah. And finding myself like making up stories about people, about why I didn't like them, about why they're bad at their job or something like that. Um, but remembering that, maybe they're angry today because their dog died and they just like don't want to talk about it. Or maybe they're, how to fight with their mom, or how to fight with like you don't know what's going on with everyone. So the idea that everyone has to be on their best behavior all the time, I mean, that's exhausting, right? Like having compassion for yourself and for other people and just being like, you know what? I understand you're upset today. If you want to talk, bring it in. But if you don't, like, I understand. Um, breaking down big problems into like bite-sized pieces, which is so silly that I never thought about that in like my real life, because that's how I always did it at work. I would break down my prep list into, okay, what should I start first? And I can get all of this stuff done in between and kind of move that around. And when I was managing, I would write myself like month to-do list and week to-do list and day to-do list over like high priority to low priority. Um, and like, why wasn't I doing that in my life? Like, yes, I have all of this stuff to do, but like, what needs to get done right now? Right now, you know? And I mean, I'm a giant procrastinator. I mean, my husband and I get advice every single day about how much of a procrastinator I am. And I know now that a lot of that has to do with my ADD. Um, because I just literally like, I will get it done. I will get it done, just not in the timetable that you think is appropriate. Right. Um, but breaking down those problems, I have all this stuff to do, but like, okay, what's one thing I can do? Okay, I can get the groceries done. Great. Got it done. Got it done. Now I can sit here and know that like at least I got that one thing done today. I got one thing done. All right. Um Also breathing. Breathing is a good one. Um Another thing I always made fun of people for is doing the like, oh, just breathe. I was like, shut up. But um I, again, it's been like such a huge thing in my life. Also, it's just sitting there and breathing and literally feeling like the negativity and anger like empty my body. And I do it with my boys. I do it with my husband now, where I'm like, okay, just breathe, just breathe. I mean, it's crazy to me when I realized that I'd basically been holding my breath for like 15 years and I wasn't breathing. And I still catch myself doing it now, where I'm just like clenching my jaw and like holding in my stomach and not breathing. And I just let it go. And that actually clears my brain for a second, you know? Um, I mean, my main thing that what I try to tell other people and what I try to tell myself is my tagline, it's okay to be okay. You know, I had these like lofty goals of like, I should be doing this, I can be doing this. You know, like why can't I do this? Why can't I be productive? And it's just like you don't have to. It's okay to just like sit around. Like some days all I can do is just like put my pants on and like my kids get fed like bare minimum, but it's okay. You know, I fed them, I loved them. That's all they really need most of the time. You know, is that every day? Not necessarily, but like it's okay to be okay. I'm just okay. I'm fine. I'm not super sad. I'm not super happy. Like I'm not fulfilling these crazy dreams, but like that my my wildest dreams were like not having my brain just be like a crazy mess all the time. And I've gotten it to where like I feel like it was filled with sand and now there's actually like room in there for thoughts to be there instead of just like, the mean ladies in my head just telling me that I'm wrong and everything. And just yeah, being okay with being okay and being okay with like what is my best? What is my best? Today my best is that I can get all the laundry done, or I can I can write all these emails, but like I can't do any more than that. Like I have to take a nap and I have to be okay with the fact that I have to take a nap because I am not going to be good to anyone if I'm like overstressed and just it doesn't matter what I've even stressed about, even if it's something ridiculous and I know it's ridiculous. If I'm stressing about it, I need to recognize it and I need to just like cut everything out and just be okay. I can be sad. And then at some point, I'll call a friend. I say the crazy things that are in my head and realize how crazy they are. And then I feel a little bit better, or I call someone else and they're even more sad. And I say, okay, let's talk through this. And all of a sudden I've helped someone because they're more sad in that second. They're more sad than I am, and I've helped them because I have been there, you know? Um, and I think that like the main things that I've talked about are things that we can kind of do like every day, show compassion, like just breathe and remember that like I'm just doing my best today and it's okay. It's okay. This is my best today. I'll try better tomorrow. Progress, not perfection. And I mean, saying that every day is a different day. You fail today, try again tomorrow. And I think I'm kind of running out of time, but this was just like such a pleasure to be able to talk to everyone. Just overjoyed. My heart is like so full right now. I really, really appreciate it. And I hope someone either tonight or anyone in the future perhaps may get something out of my share. So thank you, Erin. Thank you, Chow.